light.
Well, it's going, isn't it?
Yes, okay.
Okay.
Peace be with you.
Salam alaikum. This is Carol Kiesler,
And Alan Kiesler.
and we're still talking spiritual politics today, especially Kashmir. And why Kashmir is in our hearts is because it is the watershed for millions, billions of people.
Millions.
Millions of people for now.
Hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions. So that's why we are talking about Kashmir. Spiritual people decide, and all else falls aside. And there's an awakening consciousness right now that has been brought up with what they call climate change. But climate is always changing. Climate is warming. Seas are rising, and icebergs are melting. And we don't know. Maybe a freeze can all of a sudden happen because the Gulf streams are changing, and so many people are without water. Even here in the United States, most of the native people in the Southwest have no water at all, and they have to haul it. And so catchment for when the rains do come, spiritual people consider this a blessing. They are prepared to catch rainwater. And so right now we wish to continue talking about Kashmir, and Alan had been thinking about Kashmir for 20 years or even more. And how long?
At least 55 years.
55 years. So spiritual politics gives meaning because spiritual people are very creative in their imaginations, and they're not bound or limited. They are free thinkers, and we have this happening all over the world right now. We've got to come together to be more conscious about the environment and protecting our water and the air, and we care about these places, even though we have never even been to them. We care about the people who are having extreme hardships due to landslides, mudslides, flooding. And so this is why we are talking about spiritual politics, because we believe that we can imagine a world where world leaders are actually working together and can trust and love one another. And I am very grateful to be able to speak to you in this way, because I feel that Imran Khan is a spiritual politician, that he can imagine talking to people rather than aligning with countries that are promoting the hoarding of water and weaponizing different tribes and putting them against one another and causing a lot of problems with each other. So anyway, 1 in 6, what did you say? What did you say, Rehan? Thanks for watching. 1 in 6 persons in the world of India and Pakistan, or 1 in 5 billion people, are living in tension of Cold War like state. Yeah. Alan can speak to you about that. Nevertheless, I have a dream that spiritual politics and spiritual politicians can exist, and do exist. I actually met a spiritual politician. I actually met a spiritual politician when I was flown to Slovenia and had lunch with President Yanis Dernošek, and he had actually spent a lot of personal money and even government money during the Rwanda genocide. He had opened up his country's coffers, the money, and went there and did the best to help that he could personally. So rest in peace, Yanis Dernošek. He had told me that we would work together. Unfortunately, he had a kidney ailment and passed away. So I just want you to know that that was, I think, perhaps maybe about 12 years ago when I went to Slovenia, and that there are spiritual politicians in the world today, and we can increase their awareness by talking about spiritual politics today.
So, we were talking yesterday about Kashmir and the proposal I had mentioned about Kashmir becoming internally autonomous and its external affairs being run by India and Pakistan together. So I just happened to find the letter that I mentioned yesterday. I made a mistake yesterday. I thought it was 1999, but actually it was in 2001 that I wrote this letter. So I'm just going to show you and read some of that letter here. Let's see. Okay, this is the letter which I wrote on June 18th, 2001 to both General Pervez Musharraf, who was at that time the chief executive of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and to His Excellency Atal Behari Vajpayee, who was the Prime Minister of the Republic of India. And I wrote them, respected General Musharraf and Mr. Vajpayee, Assalamu alaikum and namaste. Please accept my heartfelt greetings.
So you're reading the letter now that you wrote to them?
Yes, I'm going to read some of it, not the whole letter, because it's actually quite a long letter.
It's 4 pages, isn't it?
It's 4 pages of this single-spaced letter, but it gave a detailed proposal about Kashmir. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll just tell a little bit, because we're talking about spiritual politics. So I addressed them both as spiritual politicians. I appealed to their spiritual sense. And so let me read at least the first part of it, and because that's what we're talking about, spiritual politics.
Yes. It's pretty amazing that, 17 years ago that you wrote to General Pervez Musharraf and Atal Behari Vajpayee. Is that how you say his name?
Pervez Musharraf and Atal Behari Vajpayee. Yes. You're not so familiar with those types of names. But anyway, so I had said, I am very happy that you two outstanding leaders of your nations and sincere servants of God are to meet next month. I have great admiration for both of you, especially for your painstaking struggles to maintain your national interest and dignity by keeping at bay extra-national powers who would make you subservient to their interests. I pray with all my strength that the all-powerful Lord of all will make your vital interview with each other the beginning of a new era of harmony in South Asia. I am confident that if we sincerely beg the Almighty, He will surely accomplish this, however difficult it may seem. Thee alone do we worship, and to Thee alone do we turn for help. Kindly allow me to introduce myself, and then I spoke about how I had lived in India and Pakistan for the first 18 years of my life, and how I spent some time in India, where I was born and where I went to school, and some time in Pakistan, where my parents were working and where I had my legal residency.
You could go down to here.
So this is what I wrote. As everyone knows, the dispute over Kashmir is a major obstacle to your cooperation. Mr. Vajpayee, at the end of this year, at the beginning of this year, you wrote, "In our search for a lasting solution to the Kashmir problem, we shall not traverse solely on the beaten track of the past. Rather, we shall be bold and innovative designers of a future architecture of peace and prosperity for the entire South Asian region." Following this favorable forecast, I wish to share with you and General Musharraf the outline of a solution that I believe is in the best interest of both India and Pakistan, as well as the Kashmiri people. Although it will be difficult to implement, no other better proposal has been made that can satisfy all three parties. I pray that you both, along with your competent advisors, will seriously consider it. And then I outlined in some detail this proposal that Kashmir should be made an autonomous and united province of both Pakistan and India, and that the people of this new state of limited dual citizenship, they would vote in both Pakistani and Indian national elections, and would have their own representatives in the parliamentary bodies of both countries. So there would be Kashmiris sitting both in the Indian parliament and in the Pakistani parliament.
So, spiritual people actually, when they envision something like this, like you did, that this vision actually becomes a.
So we just got cut off. We lost the signal for a minute, but we're back now.
So I was saying that, thank you for all your love. I was saying that spiritual people, when they are talking about current events and or politics, everything is likened to a prayer, such as this beautiful letter that Alan had written back in 2001. That prayer is still alive. It's a plea. It's a plea for peace to these two world leaders. It's a plea to their inherent spiritual nature. It can be very difficult to see some of these leaders in our world today acting as spiritual people. They're not quite awakened yet, but those who are practicing truly human beings that are awakened, are their presence on earth is felt, and it is like a beautiful state of universal oneness, actually.
So in any case, this proposal. So
Here we are.
We were cut off, and now we've just come back again. So this is a spiritual proposal. I like you called it a prayer. That's a wonderful idea. It is a prayer that actually I've had since I was in high school, since I was maybe 16 or 17 years old, at the oldest. Even since before then, I was always thinking about how India and Pakistan might solve their disputes. So, of course, the main dispute has been Kashmir. So this is a proposal that General Musharraf and Mr. Vajpayee were sent. I don't know whether they got it, and if they did, what they thought about it, but they did meet the next month, and they did discuss resolving the Kashmir issue. That was actually one of the main topics. General Musharraf had a 4-point proposal which included the idea of making Kashmir autonomous in its internal affairs. His proposal was that the two countries would retain the present borders of Kashmir, and the line of control would become the border between Indian Kashmir and Pakistani Kashmir, but both sections would be granted autonomy by the two countries. So it was, in that sense, similar to what I was proposing. And maybe what I was proposing was not very practical then, but maybe it's more possible now. Imran Khan definitely is a very spiritual person, and he has a very deep spiritual advisor, his good wife, Bushra Bibi, and we are very thankful for that arrangement,
Yes,
which
we
is
are.
similar to our arrangement, where my good wife is also my spiritual advisor and guide. So we pray that Mr. Modi will also, he is a religious man, and that he will also take a spiritual approach to the Kashmir uh, problem, which I'm sure Imran Khan will do. And I hope that they will discuss the idea of resolving the Kashmir issue on the basis of spiritual harmony and love and cooperation, and giving autonomy to the people of Kashmir, at least in their internal affairs. So
It would set an example for the entire world, that's for sure. And we need spiritual leadership right now.
we were just yesterday, one of the people who commented on our chat yesterday was a Pakistani young man from
Cyprus.
who lives in Cyprus. And Cyprus, of course, is another place where there is a situation similar to Kashmir, where the country has been divided into two parts, and they need to come together in a spiritual atmosphere of love and harmony. So Kashmir is not the only place in the world. There are other places that are in great need of spiritual guidance and of spiritual personalities who will agree to forego the past misunderstandings and even hatred between peoples, and try a new path of love and harmony, and seeing ourselves as members of one family.
Thank you. I know what came to mind is what I've been seeing in the news regarding the Muslims that are living up in China. That the Chinese people are putting them into some kind of detention camps, and I don't know if you have seen it, but it's come up for me in my news feed, and we cannot solve our problems by further imprisonment, because we only imprison ourselves. Spiritual people know that what you do to another person, that you're doing it to yourself.
So as I mentioned yesterday, the people of India, to the extent that they understand what is really happening in Kashmir, they will feel very bad about the way, because they understand that the way we're treating the people of Kashmir, that's going to happen to us too. We're going to be judged, and we're going to be treated in the same way. So we need to understand and spread these spiritual principles. And when we understand that the way we treat other people, that's actually, we're treating ourselves that way, and that's the way we're going to be treated, then that will be the basis for a spiritual solution and harmony for all of these problems in Cyprus and in Kashmir and in China, where the Muslims in Western China are being arrested. All of these problems arise from lack of trust, lack of love, lack of harmony between people. And instead of having a feeling of oneness, having a feeling of division and mistrust and suspicion. So we have to develop love and trust. That may take some time, but we need to begin. It begins with prayer and with positive ideas, and gradually it can increase. But that's really the only solution.
So spiritual people have a way of being able to envision things. They have an unlimited connection. And I see it's quite possible in the future that a council of sages will arise, and of many different gifts, and be able to share their wisdom.
Yes, this idea of a council of sages is something I've been talking for more than 20 years about with other people, religious leaders, especially spiritual leaders, people who want there to be unity and harmony and love all over the world. So we definitely need to have a group of people who are sincere, who are not attached to their own uh, tradition's perspective or their own nation's interests only, but who are interested in promoting the interests of all of humanity, people of all religions and all traditions and all races. Uh, this is essential for the world, this council of sages, as you called it. We've called it different names at different times, but that's a very wonderful name for a group of people who are spiritually oriented, who can gather together and work on such proposals as the one we're discussing today about Kashmir and taking steps towards bringing Kashmir autonomy, the internal autonomy at least, of the state for the Kashmiri people to be able to run their own affairs. So this requires spiritual guidance. It requires a council of sages who can consult with each other and with the leaders of the different countries and can gradually build trust and gradually build love and understanding. Because until the leaders of Pakistan and India, until they do not develop this sort of love and trust, there cannot be any solution to the Kashmir problem. So we need a council of sages. We need a group of people who are spiritually oriented and dedicated and who can be the bridge between India and Pakistan, between Mr. Modi and Mr. Imran Khan, and who can bring about this sort of understanding that we're trying to propose, we're trying to bring about, where these long-standing struggles, these long-standing conflicts can finally be resolved, because we need this sort of resolution. The world can't go on forever allowing these sorts of problems to fester and get worse as they are getting worse.
Just to show up with one another, just to be present with one another. I think that these highly gifted sages are actually hiding. We certainly see uh, the leaders that are, we can't understand how they are allowed to be in the positions that they are, um, causing great strife for their constituents, for their citizens in the world, and how they allow these things to happen and amass great wealth. Great wealth for what? I don't. None of it really makes sense to anybody, because we more and more people are awakening, and it's like these people who we don't understand. Uh, I suppose many of them are heads of great agribusinesses and corporations and things like that, and maybe they might be holding the strings behind these politicians. But even so, all of that is falling away and becoming more. They are being discussed in media, and they have children, and their children need water and air. And uh, I saw a blog where a woman was talking about how she was living a life of a nomad in Europe, and then she came over to America and distinctly experienced that what she felt here in America was a tremendous amount of fear. And that over in Europe, even though we get bombarded by media that there is a lot of fear going on in Europe, she never once mentioned that the countries that she had gone to, which was Slovenia or the UK or the Balkans, that there, as a single woman, she did not, and a Caucasian woman, she did not experience the intense fear of people that they feel here in the United States. And so um, I thought that was pretty interesting. A lot of people in Europe, they use mass transit, and they don't go to fast foods. They eat very, very healthy. Over here, everything is all about instant gratification, I suppose. That there's a very, very small movement that promotes healthy eating and everything with that to permaculture and learning how to work with the soil and understanding soil and so we are really always being given a kind of a dead view of what it's like to be living with other humans here in the States. So that's another reason to talk about and to envision and dream in uh, the possibility of how we see our politicians serving uh, their countries and their people and the world at large. So therefore, anything that we are saying, it's said in observation and not in criticism of what is existing today. Because I kind of see it as that these sages really don't want to come forth because it may seem too big, but I feel that there are a lot of you sages out there that can join in with other sages and just share your hope and your genius with one another.
So maybe we'll look and see if there are any questions or comments.
Sure.
Let's see if I can do this without getting my finger in the middle of the picture. There are a lot of comments here, I see, so let's try.
Hi, Rabia. I don't know if you're still there.
Okay. So Birbhulal has written, hello, we need understand
Concepts of
unity
in diversity. Is this what you preach and practice?
So Dr. Birbhulal lives in Pakistan, and I've known him for many years.
You have?
Yes. And so this is a very good question. Yes, this is what I am preaching and practicing, as you know, Dr. Birbhulal. Unity in diversity and diversity in unity. Because we are all united, we're all one human race, we are all servants of the same God. We're all, actually, literally, we're one family, descendants of one couple, Adam and Eve, we say, but all of humanity is one family. So we are one, we're united. But we're also different. So our diversity, we also honor and respect and even appreciate, as you said just yesterday, I think you said, that different religions are complementary.
Yeah, they're complementary.
Not contradictory, and certainly not meant to be fighting with each other, but they have been created by God to complement each other. So that is the diversity, and yes, we need to understand that we are diverse, we are different, but we should all recognize that we're all part of one family, and therefore we should treat each other as brothers and sisters, and instead of seeing the others as aliens, as foreigners, as enemies, or as something different than us, just see them, everyone on earth, as part of one family. And even our extraterrestrial brothers and sisters, they're also our own family, but certainly everyone on earth we should see as members of one spiritual family and one spiritual community. So we are diverse, but we should be united in one, based on love and harmony. We can all live together peacefully.
Well, I believe that is a movement that is very attractive and really calms the spirit and helps a person to relieve stress. We're still, and I'm saying, most of humanity is still recovering from wars, and we're still recovering from 9/11, for one thing. And it doesn't seem, so that could probably be another discussion. How do we spiritually address these attacks that are happening, that it seems to me to be inside jobs, so to speak, huh?
False flags.
False flags is how you would say it.
All right, so we are united, but there are some people who are trying to divide us. So this is a great struggle going on. So Rihan is asking if we're coming to the talk today. That is this evening at 7 o'clock in Oakland. So we will be happy to come there, and we will be happy to announce it and invite anybody else. Rihan is saying it's in this institute.
I don't think anybody's listening to us here in America right now, so.
Anyway, he is giving the location
Okay, so
in
let's
Oakland,
see
so
who
anyone
else is asking a question.
can see these, see that if you want to come.
Yes, we are raising our voice for Kashmir.
Muhammad Zahail Shaheen has said, please raise your voice for Kashmir.
Well, Kashmir are the ultimate water protectors for that whole region, and so we support Kashmiris being autonomous so that that the water can be given to Pakistanis as well as everyone else where the Indus flows. It flows into India. And a treaty was made, and so we've been talking about it. This little fly wants to listen in. And so that's why we're talking about Kashmir, because the Kashmiris have been given a very, very special blessing to protect the water for all people.
Yes, so that Kashmir, the Indus Waters Treaty was in 1960 when it was finalized. And it's very important that that agreement be observed and protected so that there's not a conflict that arises because of water not being given properly according to that treaty to the people that need it, in Pakistan especially, because India has control right now of areas, the rivers that flow into Pakistan, so that treaty must be respected. That has to be a sine qua non of further talks between India and Pakistan and resolving the Kashmir issue. So yes, we definitely are raising our voice for Kashmir and are arguing that we must give autonomy to the people of Kashmir.
So we were seeing yesterday, I was seeing like, well, who would be a good person to represent India in Kashmir, and who would be a great Pakistani to represent Pakistan, because these two people have to be young and concerned about the environment and are spiritual in nature. And so I'm asking you to come forth. And the first person that I thought of was that wonderful Sikh man,
Navjot Singh Sidhu, who attended Imran Khan's inauguration as Prime Minister. I think he was the only Indian leader who attended it. So he was a wonderful bridge between India and Pakistan.
I saw in the comments that everybody in Pakistan just loved this Indian man, and I saw that he actually won the trust of Pakistan, and that he is a good friend of Imran Khan. And so I thought, I asked Alan, well, where does this man live? And he said, where? In the Punjab?
In the Punjab. He's from Patiala in the Punjab, I believe.
And where is that? And that's close to Kashmir, isn't it?
Yes.
That's very close. So that is just an idea. So spiritually, I saw this because I really don't know any, who is doing what or what party is, prominent. I don't know any of the politics that is going on in Pakistan, but yet that was a person that came to my mind that I thought might be a very good person to represent India to Pakistan in Kashmir. And so that's just one person. I mean, there may be somebody else that you might know, because obviously India has a very strong dominant presence in Kashmir, and it is not welcomed. We know that India's presence in Kashmir is not welcomed. So how can we turn this around? How can we perhaps, as spiritual people, spiritual Pakistani people, like you wrote letters. Why cannot spiritual Pakistani people write letters to Imran Khan and say, we think that since we're going to have to live peacefully with an Indian presence in Kashmir, and it's not very peaceful at all, why can't this sick man or somebody like him, who is a beautiful diplomat and who has a beautiful heart and soul, represent India there? Did you understand what I said?
Yes. So this is our appeal, that all people of India as well as Pakistan as well as Kashmir should work again, take a very serious step to make an effort to come together on the basis of love and trust, on the basis of gradually increasing the trust that is not there too much right now, so that this horrible situation in Kashmir can be resolved. Otherwise, it's just getting worse. So we're trying to raise our voice for Kashmir, so thank you for that comment. The next comment is Yunus Freer. What do you think about Prime Minister Imran Khan? We've already answered that question.
We have.
We've been
If you
talking
listen
about
to her.
him.
But I was thinking, and you may even all, smile about this, but I have a Facebook friend who is on the parliament now, Abbas Jafri, and I think he would make a wonderful spokesperson for Pakistan, and to work with this cricketer. This is what I am imagining. Abbas Jafri working together with the Sikh.
Navjot Singh Sidhu.
Say his name again.
Navjot Singh Sidhu.
So Abbas Jafri working with
Navjot Singh.
Navjot Singh in Kashmir together, and to actually maybe even hold the first council of sages in Kashmir, because yes, we must grieve for the loss. Absolutely, I feel that I wouldn't be talking about this if it did not come from my heart as a big tear for all of the lives that are lost and for the brutality that is existing today that creates fear there. I believe these two men could come together and smooth things out and create a calm atmosphere and work things out with Modi and Imran Khan from the Kashmiri people's wants and needs.
All right. Let us see if there are any other questions here.
And please share this, because I certainly want Abbas Jafri to hear my thoughts.
Okay, Yunus Farid. What do you think, Prime Minister? They work very well, Imran Khan, stand with public of Pakistan and also poor peoples. Future Pakistan to success, or?
Well, I think we're kind of answering some of those things too, because we are seeing in the spiritual realm what is possible to make very good relations between Pakistan and India. We're seeing it happen, and we're seeing a way for it to happen.
So we are envisioning great success for Pakistan, peace and unity, justice, harmony, love, and we also envision the same for India. Let there be unity and love and harmony and peace in India, and let there be love and harmony and peace and trust between India and Pakistan, and especially in Kashmir, let there be peace and harmony and love. So yes, we both envision a very beautiful and wonderful future for Pakistan and for India, and especially for Kashmir, which we were foreseeing yesterday, and we were discussing how Kashmir can become the place not only where India and Pakistan come together in love and peace, but where the whole world comes together in love and peace. So we're been envisioning this wonderful future for Pakistan, for Kashmir, for India, and for the whole world. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you very much for listening.
I guess that's enough.
Yeah.
We've gone on for quite a while.
Okay.
Thank you all
Thank
very
you
much.
so much for listening.
And we look forward to continuing this conversation about spiritual politics. Peace be with you.
Allah Hafiz.